with his story, The Dividing Eye.
Hurricane Nemo wasn't what destroyed this town. The people did. The hurricane had an eye, but it could not see. The people had eyes, and they chose not to see. No tip was written at the bottom of every single check, despite DeMarcus's efforts. He rushed out of the kitchen, carefully balancing 6 steaming bowls on a dented metal tray. He shifted to the side of a coworker as they walked past, unmoved and unbothered. DeMarcus dashed to the table. 3 mushroom soups, he said, handing them out. 2 vegetable soups, he placed them gently, and 1 chicken noodles. He added, lowering it in front of a kid in a leather jacket. The kid was an Englewood Eagle. It was ironic that the school chose that mascot, not because they were fierce predators, but because eagles looked down on everyone else. DeMarcus lingered for a second, as if he was expecting a thank you that wasn't coming. He was met only with the sounds of slurping. He tucked the tray in his arm and speed-walked towards the kitchen, muttering under his breath. Rabbit stew, extra cheese, French onion soup. He repeated the order like a mantra. No tip, the family of 6 had offered. Their table was deserted now, but they hadn't been shy about leaving a mess. The sun finally went down as DeMarcus washed the last few plates. He flicked the water off his hands and stopped to admire his work. Then, he turned and headed for the back door, wiping his hands on his pants. He stepped outside and felt the first raindrops tap his shoulders. The sky had been holding his breath all day. He unlocked the door to his hand-me-down 14-cylinder and climbed in, just as the wind started to pick up. It was pouring down and thundering as DeMarcus pulled up to the trailer. He ran to the door, rainwater at his ankles, took his hat off, and threw it on the floor. "Mom, home," he said, walking to their bedroom. "Mom?" he asked, opening the door, excited to tell her about his day. She lay on the bed in her clothes, her wheelchair by the side. She was asleep. DeMarcus quickly flipped off the light switch, sighed, closed the door, and walked to the living room. He went and sat on the couch and stared up at the ceiling. They used to have a TV, and he missed the days when he and his mother would sit at home and laugh at game shows and sitcoms. Thunder crashed outside, and the power went out. It wasn't much different from when the power was on anyway. DeMarcus accepted that there was nothing else for him to do today, so he took a shower and got to the only bed with his mother. He woke up, his head pounding. Everything was uncomfortable. He was disoriented, damp, and confused. He groaned, opened his eyes, and stared at the sky through the window. Confused, he sat up, looked forward, and saw carpet. They were lying on the wall. The pillows and blankets floated past him as the smell of murky water filled his nose. DeMarcus's eyes went wide and he tried to stand up, but the trailer swayed and he was knocked back down the floor. "Ma," he said, crawling over her and shaking her. She mumbled, turning away. "Get up, Ma, our home is flooding." She opened her eyes and addressed the situation, then gasped and reached out for him. He grabbed her neck and legs, lifting her up. He stumbled as he stood. "What happened?" she asked, clinging to him. "I don't know." He stumbled, walking through the living room into the front door. With one arm he held his poor mother, and with the other he reached up to open the front door of the trailer. He lifted her up, setting her through the door and onto the side of the house, now facing the sky that put them in this situation. He then climbed up too. They stared out into what was once the trailer park, now not much discernible from the lake. Broken pieces of trailer floated by like dead fish. DeMarcus called out for help, but the rain drowned out his cries. "We're gonna be okay, Ma," he said, hugging her. We don't have no insurance," she said, her voice thin. "Where are we gonna go now?" DeMarcus avoided the question because he knew the answer and he didn't like it. He huddled in close to his mother, and they waited for the storm to end or for someone to save them. Hours went by, and the storm showed no signs of stopping. The rain poured for 3 days. When it stopped, DeMarcus was asleep on the top of the trailer. He was awoken by the sound of an engine. He sprang up and in the distance saw a boat with 2 men on it. "Hey," he stood up and yelled, "over here!" The men looked at him but continued going straight. "We don't have any room," one of the men yelled. "We'll come back, okay?" DeMarcus could feel his heartbeat in his throat as he watched them drive away. "Okay," he shouted, but they didn't look back at him this time. "Mom, we're saved," he said, spinning around and grinning. "Mom?" He spun around in a circle, looking at the entire surface of the trailer. She was gone. "Mom," he rolled around, scanning the water. The trailer had drifted far away from where they had started. She was paralyzed from the waist down, and he knew that she was gone. He began to hyperventilate and sat down. He rubbed the sweat off of his face and tried to calm himself. Maybe she was okay somehow. Maybe a boat found her. He stopped and prayed for what felt like the millionth time. Now he just needed to wait for that boat to come back and save him. DeMarcus waited for over a day, and the boat never came back. He lay on top of the trailer, wishing that it would be over. He was hungry, he was cold, and he was weak. He stared up at the gray sky as tears rolled down his cheeks. He was hopeless. Then something else caught his eye. A house right next to him. He turned his head and saw rows of houses. He had drifted into Englewood. He stood up on the trailer and scanned the houses frantically for some hope of rescue, but he saw nothing. Until something caught his eye. On one of the roofs of one of the houses, there was a family of 6, the very same one from the diner. They were huddled together and their house had collapsed. He yelled loud enough that the littlest boy heard and pointed, tugging on his mom's skirt. DeMarcus motioned for them to come forward, and one by one, they swam to the trailer and sat on top of it as their house sunk underneath. They sat there for one more day, and when they woke up, the water was down to their ankles. DeMarcus helped the family off with his trailer, and FEMA flooded the town with eager news reporters right behind them. A week had passed since the hurricane started, and reporters were all over the town. My name is Rebecca Robbins, and I'm here in Inglewood, Texas, where Hurricane Anima hit. We're here with Caleb Mudd, a survivor of this Category 5 disaster. Caleb, how did you and your family survive? Well, he said into the microphone, we made it onto our roof and thought, this is it, when a guy on a trailer floated by and we tagged along. DeMarcus sat on the curb watching all of the families get food, but they were only for the people in Inglewood. There was nothing for him here. Mark, right? Rebecca walked up, stuffing the microphone in his face. He flinched back before looking at her. DeMarcus, he answered timidly. And tell us, Mark, how did you survive? Well, he said, after a boat abandoned us, I sat on the top of my trailer for 5 days until the water went down. I lost my home. I lost my mama. I don't have anything left. Rebecca turned away from him and towards the camera. As you can see, many people were affected by this catastrophe, she buzzed, walking away. DeMarcus sat, staring when someone approached him. His boss from the soup kitchen. Hey, DeMarcus, glad to see you're alive, he said, patting on the shoulder. Hey, Mr. Harvey, DeMarcus forced a smile. Hey, his boss said, I need you to come into work one day, all right? DeMarcus bit his lip and looked down. Roger that, Mr. Harvey, I'll be there. And his boss turned and walked back to Inglewood. DeMarcus stared at the people as they laughed and ate. He was stuck in a world that chose not to see him. He was divided from everyone else, not by the eye of the hurricane, but by the eyes of the people.